identify themselves by their media. You know, it seems to me it's a bit of a tail wagging the dog. I'm a watercolorist. I'm not quite sure what that means. I would prefer that you identify yourself as just being painters who use watercolor, who may use other things, who may even sculpt. I don't think of watercolor as being some different kind of media that has to do with some arbitrary kind of rules, and there seems to be a lot of them. I remember having a golfer one time in a workshop who was a pretty good painter, and he told me, he said, you know, had there been as many rules about sex as there were about watercolor, civilization would have died off millions of years ago. So my job this week has been trying to encourage people to forget about all these silly arbitrary rules we come up with about focal points and dominances and a long list, you know, and to think about painting in terms of your ideas, you know, what you're passionate about, why you're doing this, and it's been fun. The thing of demonstrating that you realize is really not very natural. I never, when I'm home, ever go next door and get the neighbors and say, I'm going to start painting you. And they never seem to care much anyway. But I believe that this thing of painting should be more about ideas than it is about technique. It should be more about feelings than it is about design. And one of the things I enjoy about Maine is there's a kind of a starkness to Maine. And I'm sure that's true of Minnesota also. That colors are cleaner, that contrasts are sharper, that things are cleaner. And to say clean, you need to have some counterpoint to that, something which is not so clean. You know, I would not look tall in a room full of NBA basketball players. I look very tall in a tribe of pygmies. So it's always relationship. So the idea of making things look bright and clean has to do also with how dirty the rest of the world is around them. It's the same thing that happens in our class. Some people seem very bright. It's all relative. And since we don't have any show-offs, it works out just fine. So one of the things I do, and this has become kind of a trademark, and I'll do it because it's fun. It makes you feel like I'm crazy. But watercolors historically have bought big palettes and taken paint and mixed it up with gallons of water and very lightly put it on. And as a woman from North Carolina said, I just love it when you use those yummy, sherbety colors. So I decided I wouldn't stand for much more of that and actually just put some of this paint on here. Maine is clean, and there's nothing cleaner than you putting down colors which are clean. So there's no way for me to keep them cleaner than to put pure paint on this piece of paper with a clean brush and not mess around this palette. So this is a color called Sour Lemon Yellow, which is also Hansa Lemon Yellow. It's like a child's paint, doesn't it?
What was your idea?
Got some paint on it.
To get through this evening. This is not your standard approach to watercolor, and I'm not apologizing for that one bit. This is just paint, and that's a spruce tree. How's it look?
Great.
Thank you, and good night. If you're really thinking in terms of maximizing value in color contrast, which I am, you might as well establish that first away. Get that down. So that's a color called True Green, and this is Windsor Green, or in this case it's Joe's Green. I'm sure you all are familiar with Joe Miller and his Cheap Joe's art style. Who filled this thing, but we. If this bothers you that the paint is this strong, I'd like you to get over it. It's not about water. I'm always amazed at how people can get upset about the strangest things. People get nasty too. They feel so damn virtuous about their own painting. They say, well, I don't get painted, I cry. And I guess I'm supposed to feel guilty, but I don't.
Why don't we paint acrylic like that?
I've been asking the class all week to reduce contrast, and thank you so much. You have no idea. No, leave it there. I'll use it to spit it.
And now you're using contrast.
No. You be quiet. I told you to be nice. I use contrast. God, we've been all week together. I always use contrast. It's just to what degree, what kind. And there's 3 kinds. And what are they, Emily?
Come on, you can do it. Color,
See the class. is
Color?
not- Yeah, good.
value,
Yeah.
and intensity.
What a student. What a student.
Hear the answer.
Doesn't matter. God forgive me, I'm even going to use black paint. Oh no! I swear I am going to use black paint. There must be something wrong with him.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. If the idea is indeed to exaggerate contrast, and I think art is a hyperbole, an exaggeration, and if that's my quest here, I want to do it all the way. Is there any contrast greater than black and white? No. It doesn't mean anything, but if you stand back and look like this, you look important. This is the Atlantic Ocean. I hope. Oh, jeez. I didn't realize that my astigmatism had gotten this much out of control.
What's going on?
After putting all that stuff down, I do know that I have complete opportunity to change it. If you've never done this, if you always use gallons of water when you paint, give it a try. It's a lot more fun than all that water.
Just 300 pounds. It's only a jar.
last year to Lanesboro, southeastern, and had a great time. And I went into a little store there, and the woman said that she has a paper on there, some music, and she said, "Oh, jeez, I wish I had the whole tape of this." She said, "I played it last week and this place was yumping." I said, "Come on, you're kidding me." Once you have the idea down, then I think the rest of it is about a little bit of enjoyment. So I try to follow that rule.
There's people having heart attacks out there.
Yeah, that was Peachy Keen. This is Coastal Fall. There's lots of, I think one of the things we love about painting watercolor is that it is a transparent media. But we think that there's only one way to achieve transparency, and that's where we get in trouble. I mean, that color that's under there, and this color on top of it, that's transparency. We see a color coming through, that's transparent. So it does not have to be glazes after glazes after glazes. It can be, oh, that's a little too much even for my taste. I'm also doing this because in a room like this, where it's very dark, there's a lot of people you can't see, but you can see this, can't you? As I said, I like to start off with these things pretty much out of control and put down a lot of rather intense colors and then adjust them downward from there. Downward meaning with less intensity. This is a little beyond me. This looks like Leroy Neiman, and that's not my goal. But trying to capture some of what I feel about painting, some of my enthusiasm is essential early on. So what I will do, and this has had time to dry, one of the nice things about Minnesota is that things seem to dry pretty quickly.
Yes.
In Maine, this would take 4 weeks for this to dry, but here it's pretty dry. So another form of transparency, and was it Ginny or Emmy that just gave me this paint?
Emmy.
Emma. This is some color that she got from somewhere. And this contrast of these things against that is a little more than I can stand. So I'm going to take this beautiful new color and paint up this. Now just remain calm, it'll all be okay.
Put your seatbelt.
Oh, calm down, it's just paint. I took a workshop years ago from a guy named Tom Hill. Some of you may have heard of Tom Hill. Thank God for that. Most of these people I studied with are dead. Does not make me feel good. But anyway, he had one good thing to say for that 3-day workshop, and that is, if you're afraid you're going to ruin it, you are. So you have to go about it as if it doesn't matter. Even a demonstration, it doesn't matter. So this thing looks like, oh my God, what are you doing here? But trust me, it's going to all work out. Oh God, it doesn't work out. Transitions of color. when you make horrendous value steps, you put all the emphasis on the value, and I'm not much into value. I'm much more concerned about what I can do with the color here. So I am trying desperately to let you see the color and not get into a whole lot of value stuff, so I've got to reduce some of this now. Then you put that there, it's a little too strong. Now I'll give that a minute to dry up there. I'm going to come down here to the bottom part. And I do use a lot of opaque color, and I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't. If I was a real painter, I would do that. Also, a lot of scrubbing is part of my technique. And it is a form of transparency, isn't it? I mean, you have that color underneath, this comes through. That's about all you can hope for. I also like getting in a mess with this stuff and making it